Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today. My name is Sasha. I am working in data art, and today I am going to be a moderator for our event. And before we start, I would like to inform you that you could ask all the questions in the YouTube chat. And after presentation, we will answer for all of them. And before we start, I would like to mention a few things, not to prolong, but first one, below in the description, you have feedback form. It is very important for us. Please fill in after the event. And in additional one, I would like to add that on 3rd of December, we will organize online conference, IT non-stop. And also the all information is on the description below in our transmission. Okay, I think we can start. And today we have one speaker, Olga Kostova. She will tell you about Product Analytics Stack 2021. So Olga, this is your turn and the stage is yours. Enjoy the presentation and see you after.
Hi everyone, and in those crazy Corona days and lockdown times, I'm personally overwhelmed with the amount of conferences and online lectures that are available right now, and and now I'm giving also a talk, one more. But that's the end of 2020. Today, the 1st of December, and we have 1 month left, and it's time to think about the next year and prepare for what's coming next. And to prepare for what's coming next, I've made this presentation. I guess I can share my screen. Just a second. Screen. I think you probably know, I can see my screen. And so the topic of today's talk is Product Analytics Tech 2021 Slim and Powerful. And thing that we are going to cover today are which mobile and web analytics tools do we still need in 2021. And the reason why it's like a really time to talk about it is because in 2020 we had so many new launchers and so many updates and feature releases from the core tools that are known in this industry, that it's really time to review your stack and maybe get rid of some of that tools, because there are so many overlapping functionalities and it's really hard and consuming to maintain several tools at the same time. Let me maybe just introduce myself. My name is Olga, as was already said, and I'm having more than 8 years of experience in this field. And over the course of those 8 years, I had a chance to work with pretty much everything. Yeah, almost everything, not everything, but a lot. So I've started in the field of user behavior tracking, and then it went into direction of complex data structures and tracking that for several tools, like when you implement tracking for Google Analytics and Adobe Analytics and Mixpanel, and like the list goes on, lots of tools. And you do such things for big clients, and it needs to be precise, and you need to have a naming convention that goes through all of those tools. And so that's something that I started my career with. Later, I had an experience of working more in insights analytics and also creating dashboards and automating dashboards, including creating spike notification for executive on sales performance. And but over the course of the last 4 years, my work shifted a lot into the space of statistic and machine learning. And it's also something, this shift is something as well what I see like from the tools perspective. So basically the way how the tools are developing, it kind of matches this this workflow. So on one hand, you had mobile and web analytics tools, And on the other hand, you had statistic and machine learning. And now these two separate industries, they're kind of merging. And yeah, so let me continue. Just while preparing this presentation, I'm quite active on Twitter, and while preparing this conversation, I noticed this tweet, which is pretty fresh from the November 25, and I made a screenshot on November 29, just 4 days after it was tweeted. And the question that you see in this tweet, it basically reflects the topic of this talk. Which analytic stack do you currently use? And yeah, you can see that in just 4 days, this tweet got 600 likes and 91 comments. And if you would go to read those comments, you will see that it's not just some random comments, it's like comments from real people who work in the industry and who talk about the best tool kit and like why are they using this tool or that tool, and or what they which tool they replace with some other tools. And you can check Lenny Rachitsky and yeah, and see what exactly people are talking in that tweet. I will cover some of that, but yeah, I just wanted to show that this is a topic, and lots of people talk about it and saying which tools makes sense to use, keep using, or which new tools needs to be adopted. Yeah. So, and if you would go to that tweet and to that thread and check, or just generally, if you would be on conferences and talk to people from different companies, you will probably get and this is my impression. Maybe your impression would differ from mine, but I think this slide kind of reflects what we see right now on the market. So in the core, we have like 4 tools. Like that's probably the simplest setup that's possible to imagine. And the simplest setup consists of using segment to collect and distribute data, then amplitude to it's a place where you analyze the data, and then intercom to customer communication on your website, for example, and Stripe for payments. And yeah, this is kind of like fashionable, slim, and simple setup. And certain tools from here can be replaced with alternatives. And yeah, but that's my idea of a simple setup in 2020, not in 2021. And yeah, just to establish a ground to have a common understanding what exactly I've been talking about, I wanted to have this slide to explain that you have a product, and then you create a website to sell your product, and then you have users coming to your website, and the users are interacting with the website, and they may be chatting or write you an email, so they communicate with you in a way, and hopefully in the end they buy. And so those 3 fundamentals, interacting, chatting, and buying, those are things that you want to measure and understand better how in these 3 key points you can improve experience for your users. And yeah, as I said, that there are tools that have analogs. So for example, the analog for segment would be Google Tag Manager or Twilio. There are lots of tools. I'm just not trying to present all of them here, but probably the most common ones are here. And then when it comes to interacting, it would be Mixpanel, Amplitude, and Google Analytics. Buying, Stripe, probably the #1 thing right now, but of course still lots of people want to pay with PayPal, so it's still present. And again, there are many more tools than just those 2. And yeah, as I said, for communication, we have Intercom, we have HubSpot, if it's for emails, and various other tools. And this is still quite a simple setup, but it's not just those tools. And yeah, as I said, this list is far from being complete. And but what all of those tools have in common is the way what they are trying, what's in the core of those tools. And in the core of those tools are users and certain events. You have a user, and the user started a session or logged in or logged out or pressed this or that button, right? So this is how those tools are, what those tools are organized around users doing things. And although it seems really simple, right? It's just users doing things. Like you have a list of users and a list of things that each user does. Like in reality, you end up in a situation like this. And yeah, I guess this slide to me pretty much depicts the state in which people who work for either startups or big enterprise clients in data science department, in web analytics, marketing department, this is what they need to deal with. We have lots of tools, and you need to understand all of those tools, and you kind of balance in between being agile and in between being fashionable and adopting the coolest technologies and the coolest tools that are on the market on one hand, and then on the other hand, you still need to be able to work with all of those tools. And yeah, I guess I wouldn't say too much that people who work in this industry are quite overwhelmed with the options that are on the market and with the knowledge that is required. Yeah, so yeah, just to give you an idea what are all of those names here, that these are not just some random logotype that I brought to this slide. So yeah, as I mentioned before, we have in the core, we have segment, a tag manager, and particle, and those tools are here for collecting the data and distributing the data into various other tools. They can send data into from here to Mixpanel, Amplitude, Google Analytics, Branch, Braze, like any other tools, as well as marketing tools like Google Ads or Facebook Ads, and list goes on. And then, yes, so for the product analytics, like probably two the most famous ones are Amplitude and Mixpanel. And then marketing analytics is Google Analytics is the #1 tool. You still, of course, have Adobe Analytics, and lots of bigger companies, they, yeah, like in my experience, they usually have both Google Analytics and Adobe Analytics. And then for push notifications, it's common to use Braze. There are lots of alternatives, and I'm just talking about Braze because I have experience with it. And yeah, to understand better user behavior on screens, like how they scroll, like blind spots on your screens, it's common to use Hotjar or Crazy Arc. And again, this is just, I wouldn't even say the most common, but maybe they are the most common two tools. But the list goes on. There are so many more other tools that that serve you for the same that serve the same purpose. And then you have something for email marketing, which probably, if it's a big enterprise, it's something like Marketo or MailChimp, and lots of other tools for data visualization. Tableau, MicroStrategy, Google Data Studio, payment we already covered. And yeah, I would like to bring your attention to those two tools, Zapier and Tray.io. So those tools, they basically help you send data in between all of this tool set. So imagine you have Salesforce, and you have let's say Mixpanel. So with Zapier or Tray, because it does the same thing as Zapier, you can, when your sales manager created a record in Salesforce regarding a certain user, you can send that record into your Mixpanel and update information about that user in Mixpanel, and vice versa. And Zapier and Tray.io, they allow you to connect several tools and update information regarding users in between those tools, which is really cool. And yeah, but it's another tool to understand how to work with. Yeah, so as you can see, there are so many tools, and this is not the full list. The list is not completed right here. It makes sense to review sometimes the stack that you are using, and yeah, and maybe simplify it a little bit. But yeah, to have this idea to simplify the tool set that you are using, we need to start this conversation that we need to use less tools. And like, from what I see, this conversation is not out there right now, and people are just like always talking about adopting new tools, new tools. And yeah, but this is just my feeling after 8 years of working in the field, that it's time to start reviewing the amount of tools you have, and optimizing this setup. So that's my call to action. If you have the same feeling, like, review the tool set that you have, and maybe remove some of the tools that are no longer bringing something new, that are no longer having unique features, because the features, like the reasons why you adopted them, are now covered by the features from other tools that are more important for your business. Yeah, so I wanted to bring this slide to explain how this industry started, and how it looks like, how it was developing, and why 2020 is such a big year, and like really a time to review your web and mobile toolset infrastructure. Yes, so in 2005, there was this tool, Origin, and it was bought by Google, and I'm not sure but pretty soon it became Google Analytics. And yeah, and Google Analytics was sort of classic Google Analytics till 2013, and only in 2013 there was Universal Analytic launched, and that was like a big step, like from Google Analytics Classic to Universal Analytics. And I joined the industry like somewhere around here in 2011, and I had the chance to see how Google Analytics was transforming over time, and then also how other tools were appearing on the market and as well transforming. So yeah, Mixpanel appeared in 2009, Braze in 2011, and then Amplitude was in 2012, and then Branch in 2013. And yeah, Branch is a tool to create deep links for your app and tag them so that you can understand like where the downloads of your app come from if you do paid advertising. Or not only paid advertising, if you like show links to download your app on the website or elsewhere. Yeah, and then so yeah, in 2016, Google Tag Manager was launched for the first time, and since Google Tag Manager was launched, lots of people considered that it's not, yeah, like lots of let's say cool tech companies, they would say that Google Tag Manager is not cool enough, and that you should use server-side Tag Manager, which is Twilio or a Segment. But in 2020, Tag Manager became server-side as well, and they just recently announced that just a couple of months ago. And yeah, another important tool that was developing over the last decade was Firebase. So Firebase was launched in 2011. In 2014, it was acquired by Google, and yeah, in 2017, Fabric and Crashlytics were also acquired by Google and became part of Firebase. And for those of you who, so the Firebase whole thing is about, this is the analytics tool for mobile, that's for mobile analytics, and Fabric and Crashlytics is for like mobile Crashlytics. And yeah, in 2019, like what happened to Firebase is that Firebase got integrated with BigQuery and also with Jira. So if you have certain like spikes, too many bugs, crashes or something inside of your app, you can easily based on this, send this into Jira and notify your team members that there is something that needs their attention. And it's also cool that Firebase is connected to Google BigQuery, because it basically allows you to explore the raw data from Firebase, like a click stream from Firebase inside Google BigQuery. And Google BigQuery became like a very, very powerful tool. It even allows you to do some basic machine learning. And since recently, it also allows you, like in the past, it was possible to send data from Firebase to Google BigQuery and also from Google Analytics, but for Google Analytics, only for the paid version of Google Analytics. So it was possible to explore the clickstream data from those two tools inside Google BigQuery and then enrich this data with some extra data that you have and model this data. And yeah, and then in the past, you had to download a CSV file with results of your data modeling, and then you can act on it. And so it was a bit annoying that you need to deal with the CSV files. It's actually really incredible to me how much is still happening through CSV files these days. But yeah, so Firebase since 2019 went one step further, and now it allows you with just a few clicks, whatever you modeled inside Google BigQuery, to bring it back to Firebase as a audience, as a segment that you want to act on. And inside Firebase, there are really lots of possibilities to act on this model segment. So this is like a big change and really important one that happened in 2019 and 2020. And like at the same time, like there was this, that was the development of Firebase. At the same time, Google Analytics was also developing. And yeah, so in 2019 they launched Analytics Web Plus app beta, and that was brought out to the market because lots of clients, they have, imagine you have a website and you have several apps, and then you have so many tools. And in order to understand, to answer like such a simple question, how many users do you have, or how many sales do you have, or how much you spend on advertising, and what kind of results it brought, you basically needed to log in separately into your analytics regarding your iOS app, into analytics regarding your Android app, into analytics regarding your website. So it's like three separate tools, and those tools are usually not the same tool. So it's like completely three different interfaces that you need as a specialist to deal with, which is pretty tiring. And yeah, so therefore in 2019, Google launched this beta Web Plus app, and like in 2020, just in October, basically last month, they launched GA4, and it's a new, like really major update of Google Analytics. And it's not major if you compare it to the View Analytics Web Plus app. If you tried it out, you will see that GA4 is basically Web Plus app plus a few more features. And actually, even if you didn't work with Web Plus app, but you worked with Firebase, you would understand that Web Plus app is based on Firebase Analytics. And so basically what's happening is that Google is kind of merging those tools, like Web Plus app plus Google Analytics 4 plus Firebase becoming one, although they're still separate. I hope it's not too confusing. I will clarify a bit further. Yeah, let me go to the next slide, because this slide was quite intense. Yeah, so, but I guess you got the idea that what's happening with the Google tools is quite big. And yeah, and with the next couple of slides, I want to show you what's fundamentally different, like what's so important happened in 2020 that you really, really need to review your infrastructure for web and mobile analytical tools. So Yeah, so if in the past I was telling you that you use Segment or Empatical or Google Tag Manager to collect data and then send this data to like various other tools, now Firebase becomes kind of a core for the data collection. And like inside of the Google world, you basically need to create a list of events that you want to track for Firebase. And then this list of events, like then those events will be accessible through Google Tag Manager. And through Google Tag Manager, you can send them over to various other tools like Google Ads, Facebook Ads, even Mixpanel and so on. So, and it basically means that like if in the past you had either Segment or Tag Manager or Empatical in the bottom, and then something like Firebase or Mixpanel or Amplitude, or like many other tools. Now it's like flipped, and you have Firebase in the bottom in the core, and this is the tool into which you collect the events. And this is and then through it's really cool because then you don't have trouble with naming convention. You just use the same events that are implemented for Firebase, and then those events are available inside Tag Manager, and the same events that are called the same, that fire at the same moment as for Firebase, they are available to be sent to all other tools, which is wow, it's absolutely great. And another new thing is that Firebase is really a lot to improve the way how it looks and how you can explore the data and analyze it. And on my opinion, yeah, you should switch to Firebase Analytics if you want to understand how users interact with your business. Amplitude, Mixpanel, Adobe, Google, you can keep them for historical matters for a while till your team will adapt to Firebase. That's, again, this is just my opinion. But yeah, so I just wanted to bring this slide to show you how something like funnels, right? It's really in the core of understanding user behavior, and funnels are crucial. Like one of the number one thing, number one feature why Mixpanel became famous, right? And why Amplitude also came to the market with same funnels. They were improving a little bit the way how funnels look, like in Amplitude, improving the way how funnels look and how you can filter them compared to Mixpanel. And this is the way how funnels look. Like here you have a funnel from Mixpanel, and here you have a funnel from Firebase Analytics. And yeah, I think that, I mean, there are like some good things regarding Mixpanel funnel, because you have overall conversion, and you can see it here is like really, really big number and very clear, and it becomes very clear how people convert for your final goal. And then, but what I like about Firebase Analytics funnel, that you have not only, like you have to kind of two ways to look through the funnel. Like you have this funnel like session start, add to cart, begin checkout, and purchase, and then you can look at this funnel through the user perspective of how many users went through this funnel, or you can use you can look at this funnel through the event count perspective. And this is like, I haven't made two screenshots, but actually it looks really different. Like you have, for example, that I just took for some hours as an example, you have 44 users who started the session, and then 18 who pressed add to cart, and begin checkout 11, and purchase 10. And if you would go to event count, the numbers will be really, really different. And it's, I mean, it's not always the case that you need to count how many times person pressed add to cart. Sometimes it makes more sense to count how many users pressed add to cart or pressed checkout, right? So, and like Mixpanel, neither Mixpanel or Amplitude gives you this view, while Firebase does. And again, as I said, like for example, Firebase doesn't show the total conversion rate for this funnel, while Mixpanel does it. Maybe Firebase will add this thing later, but this is the state right now. And also in I think October, in the end of October, there was Firebase Summit, and they launched lots of new features that come with Firebase right now. And I just wanted to list them here because I find them extremely cool and very much needed. So like one thing is admin API that allows you to, through the like control how many users have access to your account, which access they have, like permissions control. And it may be not a big deal if you're a small startup and you have just like, I don't know, a couple of people, but if you're a big organization, that's always a trouble. People who work with us, they know. So, and it's absolutely amazing that Firebase did it already, and it simplifies and speeds you up a lot. And then data API, it allows you to combine data from several accounts, which is also for big companies is a great thing because you can have several apps for different markets and they're not exactly the same. And you want for people who sit in, let's say Brazil, and for people who sit in Germany to be able to analyze data in their native language. So therefore, you have separate like events list, although maybe the apps look very much the same, and but still, so it's a really cool feature that you can, in the end, you can combine data together from several Firebase accounts and beyond. And measurement protocol API, it's for adding offline transactional data or any sort of offline data into Firebase. And they have a really cool and major update that now you have, like, in order to use measurement protocol, you need to have an API key. And that's actually amazing because you can't send random data into random Google Analytics or Firebase accounts, which was the case till recently. But yeah, without elaborating on this, let's go on to another, like a really cool feature that is like part of Firebase. This feature is imported segments, and this feature is cool because, like, I personally had experience working with segments 3 years back, and the moment when I was working with segments, it looked like that. So basically, you have either Google Analytics or Firebase Analytics, and then you export this data to Google BigQuery, and then you do your magic analysis, scoring, whatever else, modeling inside of Google BigQuery, and then you need to download the CSV file to act on this, on the results of your analysis. And that was like, oh, it's sometimes it's even, because, you know, each time when you bring data from one tool to another, from another to another, you lose, like, the quality of your data goes down, and the matching between user IDs also decreases. So that was always a problem, that you lose some of the crucial results of your work while you go through all of these connections. And now it's much simpler. So you have Firebase. Firebase is connected to Google BigQuery. Whatever you've done in Google BigQuery with one click, you can bring it back to Firebase and make certain segments, certain audiences available to act on these audiences. Like, imagine you want to send push notifications to all the people who like running shoes, and you can like do the analysis inside Google BigQuery to define who are these people who like running shoes, how many times they need to interact with your running categories products on the website inside of your app, to determine that these people like these products and they're like mostly interested in this product category. And then with a few clicks, you can bring this audience back into Firebase, and then you can send a push notification to these people, or you can use, like, they have another really cool feature inside Firebase called remote config, and remote configs allows you to have special experiences for certain audiences of people. So if you know that these people like running, you can adjust the way how the app look for runners, and you can adjust the way how the app looks for people who like some other sports, if it's about sports. If it's not about sports, you like whatever, like you have people who fly from New York, you can show them information inside your app relevant for people in New York. And that's possible with remote config and with like advanced segmenting that is part of Firebase. So, I mean, you can also create segments and audiences in Mixpanel or Amplitude, but it's like, that's it. Like, you've created the audience. And then if you want to act on this audience, you need to bring the data from the tool to some other tool in which you will be acting. And you have lots of questions. There are like certain tools are connected. Like you can, for example, bring data from Mixpanel, create a segment inside Mixpanel and bring it to Marketo. But it's like such a long story. There are so many steps in between while you will get it. And in Firebase, it's just there, which is it simplifies, it speeds you up, and it just works perfectly. And yeah, a few more important features that Firebase possesses. Yeah, I'm not going to cover all of them, but like as I said, BigQuery is a huge thing. Payment with Stripe is a huge thing. Synchronization to Mailchimp is a huge thing. And yeah, and also like, for example, for push notifications, I just wanted to bring the way how, like if you would send a push notification, the visualization of the result of sending that push notification looks pretty cool inside Firebase. So this is how many sends you've got. This is how many people open that push notification. And in the end, you can define something as a conversion, like you send this push notification so that people come back to your website, or so that people buy something, and then you can see the result of that send. And it, yeah, if you worked with other tools to send push notifications and in-app messages, you will see that this is quite cool. This is quite advanced and visual with those funnels. And yeah, other than that, Firebase has predictions, A/B testing, as I said already, cloud messaging, in-app messaging, and remote config, and dynamic links. Dynamic links is to yeah, to have yeah. So for example, you want to send user into a certain part of your app, you can create this link inside Firebase, and then you will be able to understand who clicked on this link from and where the users come from. So it's basically has information about, has UTM tags with this link, and also it sends users into specific part of your app, which is cool. And yeah, the big thing is, as I already mentioned, is that Firebase is connected to Google BigQuery, and it allows you to do lots of things. And yeah, and like while listening, you can also understand that if you use a certain tool to send in-app messages and push notifications, maybe you don't need those tools anymore because there is Firebase, and it does really great job doing it. And yeah, also Branch, maybe you don't use Branch anymore, especially starting from December 8th, we have this new law from Apple that you regarding like data protection, that if user says, no, I don't want to be tracked, you are, as a developer, you are not allowed to track any information regarding this user inside of your app, which is great. And yeah, so moving to conclusions, because it's already it's time. So like I have 5 messages for you, 5 simple messages. That the number one is you need less tools. You need to adopt this this idea that you most likely the amount of tools that you use right now is too much, and that you need less tools. It will be good for you, for everyone. And then in 2020, like, I mean, it maybe sounds so easy. Oh, you just need less tools. Oh, we don't need this tool or that tool, right? But it's really hard to, if your users, they've got used to, if people in your team, they've got used to certain tool, it's really takes time for them to like stop using this tool, right? So, I mean, 2021 could be a year when you prepare mentally your team members that we need less tools, and this tool we don't need anymore because the features it has also included in some other tool. And yeah, so that's my second point. And the third point is that like whatever the tools are out there, you should focus on their delivering better user experience. And that's the main thing, that the reason why you use tools, because people go so much into tools like, should you use Mixpanel or Amplitude? And there are like people who are very much for Mixpanel and very much for Amplitude, and they will fight with each other which tool is better. But don't forget that better to deliver a better user experience, and it doesn't matter which tool you use for that. And so focus on the core things and less on the adoption of new coolest tools and technologies. And yeah, on my view, the reason why I talk so much about Firebase, because you basically can't get rid of Firebase. Firebase is connected to, it's a Google owned tool. And then if you do any sort of advertising, that means that you most likely use Google, and that means that most likely most of your marketing budget goes on Google, and that means that you want to understand how you spend your marketing budget. So it's the way how it is right now, that you kind of need to use Google tools to understand how you spend money in Google. And therefore, Firebase is the #1 tool that you can't get rid of, and you should start be better in using this tool next year if you are not there yet. And then, of course, CRMs like Salesforce, you can get rid of them. it will be there. And then tools to for email marketing campaigns. Email marketing, they will be always there. One, like MailChimp, Marketo, anything what you use, what you like. Stripe, you need it. And then something like Intercom or analogs of Intercom, you need it. Zapier, as I mentioned, you need it. If you don't have the tool that helps you connect several tools, you should probably get into it and like learn more about Trio or Zapier and adopt one of these tools. Or like, I think there are some more, but those two are the most famous ones. And then BigQuery, you need to start using it if you are not doing it yet. And Data Studio for visualization or any sort of analog of Data Studio. And yeah, although I was presenting it, so that now Firebase is in the bottom, and it almost replaces segment Google Tag Manager, and in particular, it not exactly does it, and you still need this either one of those, like either segment Google Tag Manager or in particular to distribute the data to other tools that are not part of the Google infrastructure. And so what I mean by that, that if you collect events with Firebase, you still need to send those events to Google Tag Manager if you want to see them in, let's say, in let's say Mixpanel or any other, or in Facebook or elsewhere. So yeah, you will have to keep one of these tools. And then one more, the last thing, that it's time to learn SQL if you still don't have any knowledge of SQL. And it's really time to start with machine learning, because this is the way how the industry moves. It becomes less and less, it makes less and less sense to analyze data by hand, and it makes more sense to just collect the data and put it through various models and then come up with insights and act on this data. And this is what machine learning allows you doing. Yeah, so I hope this talk will be useful, and it will inspire you and give you some direction for 2021. And yeah, in case you have any questions, you can find me on Twitter, or right now ask in chat. And yeah, I need to say that it was quite an experience, because right now I'm sitting in my room in front of my computer and I'm just talking and talking and talking. And I hope I was clear enough. And if you have any questions, let me know, please. I guess that would be it from my side. And yeah, Sasha, maybe you have something to add.
Okay, can you see me? Thank you for your super presentation, and I think it was very important for all of our guests, and we have some questions. Let's check it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Do you see it?
Yeah, I can see the
Okay.
question. So I will read it. So there is a question from Mikita, and the question is, do you track any kind of sensitive data to Google Analytics Firebase, like emails, full names, internal IDs used in your products backend? No, that's not a good idea. It's I'm reading the right question. So no, you are not like you are not supposed to send any sort of emails, names, IDs. I mean, some IDs are possible to send to Firebase and Google Analytics, but no, user identifiable information should be stored in your Google Analytics or Firebase. Yeah, that's forbidden. For that, you will have to use some other tools like Salesforce or something else. This is the place where you have your customer data, and Firebase and Google Analytics aren't. And then I also see a question from Artem. Which marketing email tool you may recommend for average size company with, let's say, 500K active customers? So I guess my first suggestion would be MailChimp. And it's a really cool tool, and they do a lot for like when it comes to machine learning, which is really cool. And this is, if you have 500K users, you want to segment them in some smart way, and you need to have to like adopt machine learning for that, for the segmentation. So I guess, yeah, MailChimp would be the #1 suggestion, because I don't have that much experience of working with email marketing, and yeah, my experience is basically based on using MailChimp and Marketo, and among those two, I would say MailChimp is more progressive. But that's my personal opinion. And then I see one more question is, are there better alternative than CSV integration between those tools? Yeah, there are like, yeah, so like the #1 suggestion would be to use something like Zapier to integrate between tools. Of course, you can write your own API, but that's really, really consuming. And for that, you will have to have developers who would maintain those connections, which doesn't make sense. It's too expensive to have it. So it's much cheaper to adopt such tools as Zapier to do those integrations. If there are no existing, because like some tools they have, for example, if you have a paid version of Google Analytics and you use Salesforce, there is nothing that you need to integrate. It's just if you click to connect those tools. And if you don't have a paid version of Google Analytics and you still want to connect it to Salesforce, you will have to either use an API or CSV files to update the data, or which is more convenient, is to use something like Zapier. I guess that would be my answer. And then I see one more question, which is, does Google Analytics Firebase provide agreement text for end user, or we should generate that legal stuff by ourselves for different countries? Yeah, exactly. You need to work with your legal department and generate the consent messages yourself. We can wait a little bit more if there are some more questions coming, but if not, I guess later you can ask me on Twitter if you will have any questions related to the to my talk today.
Okay, and I think that's all questions for today. But of course, if you have some question, you can follow Olga on Twitter and ask directly. Okay, thank you for your super presentation. And if you want to join other of our events, please follow our webpage or find our page on Facebook. And all the information you have directly under this video. Thank you for watching and thank you for coming. Bye.
Yeah, okay. It was my pleasure to be talking here, and I wish everyone like an amazing December, and hopefully much better 2021 than 2020. Yeah.
Yeah.